Two Ton Nerds. As always, my name is Max James, and we have the return of.
My name is Scott Cooper.
Well, that's good enough for me. Scott, it's been a while.
Really, you can't really do a return. I mean, we didn't really do overhyped trailers,
Yeah. Well, I've been here.
I know.
You were off gallivanting in the woods somewhere.
I was off just reevaluating my life.
A lot has happened in the period of no podcasting.
Yeah.
Have you seen any good movies as of late?
I've seen quite a few. I mean, the only one that really stands out is Pacific Rim. Just because, I went into that movie going, you know what, gigantic robots, gigantic monsters, how could it, not succeed? And then at the end of it, I'm like, how can this movie be better? Because it can't be, because it was so amazing.
I thought it was really good.
It was so good. That's what I'm trying to say. It was awesome.
I mean, even what's his name, Charlie Day. I mean, he's kind of. I really liked him in what's it called, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but in Horrible Bosses. I mean, I liked him in that, but this movie.
Yeah, he was really good, and he was really good in this. He kind of fit the mold perfectly. Him and Ron Perlman, I thought, had some really good scenes together.
I liked Ron Perlman's character in this movie. I thought it was hilarious.
I honestly, without Superman or Man of Steel in that discussion, Pacific Rim gets my vote for the best summer movie.
Best summer movie.
Best summer movie.
Yeah, I just Superman. Yeah,
Superman's a great story flick that's going to last longer than Pacific Rim is. But Pacific Rim is everything you want in a summer blockbuster. We got a hot chick who's Asian. We've got gigantic fucking robots, and we've got big ass monsters, and we've got some awesome noble ass death scenes that stand the test of time.
Movie history.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I thought honestly the main character was gonna die.
So without having a pre-existing medium like Superman was comic books or the Avengers, Pacific Rim was one of the best original summer movies.
Oh, it's the best original movie I have seen probably in a few years. Probably, I'll give it that. Because like you just said, there's a lot of movies these days that go off former stories. I mean, they're look at Iron Man, look at Superman, look at all the superhero movies. I mean, look at all the movies, the book adaptations, look at all that. Then you have this movie that it takes inspiration from a lot of things, but it does something that I've not seen done correctly on the screen.
Well, speaking of that, done correctly, I know I kind of mentioned, we kind of had this discussion over through phone, but text messaging, but I do have to give praise to the DC animated universe. And you know which movie I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I told you it was good.
Well, it's the Dark Knight Returns, the DC animated feature, which you can't really go wrong with when DC animated movies.
No, that's the thing is when DC releases an animated movie, I get excited, because I know it's going to be extremely faithful to the original adaptation.
Yeah.
And I know they're going to, but not just that, but they're going to take their own little spin on it, kind of. And then it's just the nuances, the details that they go through, and the one you just mentioned, The Dark Knight Returns, is probably the best one in doing so, because you are so captivated by the performances of these characters that yes, they are just yes, it's a cartoon per se, but you're just so enamored by this old Bruce Wayne that you're just is this guy gonna keel over and die?
He did kind of have that feel any moment. just walking down to the steps in Wayne Manor, like, ugh, his heart give out.
And the thing is like this, this is one of the stories of why I love Batman so much. And like, this is this was Frank Miller at his best.
Well,
When he did this story, it was just awesome.
See, what I wasn't expecting was, I knew it was going to be good in some aspects, but what was surprising is how violent this cartoon was.
I was actually, when they announced the adaptation for it, I'm like, there's no way there's no way they can fully adapt that graphic novel, because it was so damn violent. And when I started watching it, and the scene that really just kind of like took me aback was, see, the first part of it was like, it had that violence, stuff like that, and it had that, that edge to it and everything like that with the mutant gang leader.
Yeah.
I thought that was really awesome, but it didn't dive into the psyche, the psychosis, the uber violence, until you get to the Joker in part 2, which I thought that was probably, outside of anything, maybe you could say, maybe the games, that I thought that the Joker's best role was in that story, just from the time that he sees Batman on the screen, when he returns at the end of part 1, to the point where, he just, like, you just feel like there's such a connection between these two characters. And like, to me their fight to the death was more like this, in a way it's like this psychotic wedding dance. It's like, here we're finally at where we want to be, me and you together, one of us is going to die. And
it was all boiling over to this exact point.
Yeah, and the violence leading up to that, it was so good.
What surprised me the most, this is when I was talking about how violent this movie is when I'm talking about the Joker stuff, and it's like when he's running through the fair carnival kind of esque scenery, and he's just shooting people left and right, and I'm like, oh my god. I mean,
and you see him keel over, and like you would not see that done. And that's the thing that, like, that when I listened to your review, it's like you hit the nail on the head. That's something you cannot do in on the big screen.
It's a PG-13 animated. I know you can get more. You can get away with more in the animated line of things, but still, it's a animated cartoon movie.
It pushed it because there's R-rated cartoons. I mean, you have Spawn. That's an example of an R-rated cartoon. And to me, if this had been released probably back in time that, like, in the early 2000s or in the late 90s, this would have been a hard-rated R movie. I think.
And it definitely would have been drawn a little differently too, I do believe.
It would have been drawn a little differently, and it would have been one of those things that kind of like, because what's funny is this is a good way to be like, okay, how far has storytelling came? Like, it's okay to have this in a graphic novel, but when you put this in moving pictures and you can see the violence and you can hear the violence, it becomes,
especially the scene where finally, when Batman finally has his hands around the Joker's head, and he just and you can hear his neck break, and I'm like,
it's beautiful. It really is. It's like, here we finally see him do what he has to do. Like, it's that one nitpick to people have. It's like, Batman doesn't want to kill because he believes that that's the one thing that'll set him over the edge, because he believes that if he kills one person, he won't stop killing.
Yeah.
And, he's like, well, what makes me different? This is the only thing that sets me different. But as a viewer, you're always like, Joker just killed 20,000 people. That you could have prevented if you just would have killed him.
I know. Yeah. I think, didn't he say something about all this is just because of you? I can't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah, I think he said, he goes, all this is because of you.
You know what I'm talking about. Or he kind of like has that moment of sobriety. He's like, I should have done this years ago, or something.
Like I should have killed you years ago, and then
like
all these they both know.
Yeah. I think that's Batman's biggest flaw right there is the Joker and his greatest weakness. Greatest, you know what I'm talking.
Well, yeah, it's his greatest weakness, but it's because the Joker is able to exploit that.
Yeah.
Because the Joker knows that Batman's not going to kill him, he finds him this kind of like this, like, oh my gosh, this guy will beat and pulverize people, but I don't feel, and he's not going to kill me, and I'm just going to have fun with this guy.
Okay, I do have a question. I never read the graphic novel, but did it go into detail what happened to the previous Robin?
It kind of did on some aspects of it, but that is actually for the sequel. Oh. There is a sequel. It's called The Dark Knight Strikes Again.
I knew that. I mean, I've heard that they're going to be adapting that too, I think.
Yeah, that one is not as good as this one, but I still enjoyed it, and it dives deeper into the whole what exactly happened to Robin.
Gotcha.
No,
I'll just wait for the adaptation.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is there's actually a prequel to the Dark Knight Returns and everything, and it's the All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller.
Okay.
Which I highly recommend reading, even though it's one of the most critically panned comic books of all time.
Why was it just not good, or?
It was over the top. And some people, like Jim Lee is one of the best artists, and it was amazing on artistry part, but a lot of people criticize the story because they're like, that's not Batman, that's just a barbarian in a suit, but I'm like, because this is also the comic that he yells out, I'm the goddamn Batman.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people are like, but Batman doesn't do that. And it's like, because he does come off more psychotic than he does, but he's also developing his character and everything like that. And it's one of those things I can just kind of forgive because to me it's like, this comic book is just fucking fun.
That's what he also did. Frank Miller did what? Year One, didn't he?
Yeah, he did Year One, which is probably the most critically acclaimed Batman comic, I would say. It's up there with his other works, but I would say Year One's probably the most critically acclaimed because it's not really a Batman story, that's a Jim Gordon story.
Yeah. And I also liked what I liked about Year One is how novice Batman was. I mean, I'm talking about animated feature. I mean, that's how I came across these, but I liked how clumsy and novice he was, and just getting to his routine or how you want to call it down, and it's just quite entertaining.
I mean, it's something you don't really get to see a lot of, when the superhero origin story happens. But I too thought that was a really, really neat one.
That's really why I liked the first few seasons of Smallville. It's like how Clark is very clumsy with. I mean,
and he's learning his powers.
Okay, well, about this since we talked about superheroes, how'd you like? I know you haven't played the Batman Arkham Origins video game, but have you seen any reviews or any gameplay footage on it?
I've seen gameplay footage. I've seen reviews on it, and I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I'm gonna play the game because I'm a Batman fan and because I'm a fan of the other two games. I mean, I wouldn't play the game. Like, let's just say, like, there are shitty Batman games. Batman Dark Tomorrow is one of them. That's a shitty Batman game. That one, like, just no. Okay. Now, Arkham Origins, to me, there's a lot of things that put me off on it, but there's just too much. Like, the reviews I see is like, oh, it's the same old thing. It's like, you know what? Bring it on. Okay, I like the same old thing. I don't like there to be a lot of change up.
Well, the thing is, I mean, since I played it and beat it and played a few of the like after story mode mission extras or whatever you call it, side missions. I don't know why I have not went back and played it since I've beaten it. I just don't know. Something isn't connecting. You know how I am with video games sometimes. Like,
well, I mean, sometimes it's. I know what you're saying, but like, I mean, but there's certain games that they don't come out at the right time. Like, I mean, like, let's say The Last of Us came out now. Would you be so interested in that?
Probably not because I have Grand Theft Auto, WWE 2K14, and Arkham Origins and Saints
And you
Row.
were, yeah,
I
Saints
mean,
Row 4.
yeah, and I have like that's like 5 games right there,
Yeah, and you're like overwhelmed.
but the thing is, I'm not really overwhelmed. I kind of, I spaced them out pretty well. But the thing is that I keep going back to Last of Us. I keep going back to Saints Row. I keep going back to Grand Theft Auto. It just something isn't bringing me back to Arkham Origins, and I can't figure out what it is. I mean, it has all these cool outfits. I've been playing as the Adam West Batman outfit, and that's awesome. And I mean, I've been doing some of the little side missions and that pertain to more of the assassins, and like they're pretty cool, but something is just not like drawing me back into the whole world of Gotham City. And
I know what it is.
okay, tell me.
It's a simple answer. It's called friendly competition.
Oh,
That to me is what's missing from that. It's like, because if I told you, hey, I beat Arkham Origins, like, oh, hey, cool. And I tell you, hey, I beat this many side quests, and all of a sudden you're like, he can't do that. Like, I gotta do these too.
it's kind of like
then,
I don't know. It's like you platinumed Arkham, was it Asylum? Then I did it. Then I had to be the first one to platinum
City,
Yeah, and I did, and it was like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see, and I've yet to play the multiplayer mode for it, and I really don't have any desire to play the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, because it's one of those things. It's like it's just. I guarantee you, when I get the game, your opinion will be different.
I bet it will.
Yeah, because it's one of those games. It's like the single player mode is the bread and butter of Batman. I mean, but it's also like you can't deny it that the Riddler trophies and everything like that. When I say, hey, I got all 400, I'm like, you know what, that fucker did it. I can do it too.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it faster than he did. And then when you start doing that is when you kind of like, oh man, this is actually fun.
Yeah.
Like, I like this stuff. You know, and I honestly think like that's a lot of things that kind of gets taken away from video games is that friendly competition.
Yeah, and it's kind of how I was with Grand Theft Auto. I will admit that I had to be the first one out of my realm of friends to 100% GTA 5.
Yeah.
And I accomplished that one. And I'm not going to release how many hours I spent on that game.
So you had the platinum for
it? No, I don't think I'll ever platinum. I mean, I might be able to platinum this one. But just mainly due to the fact that I will spend... It's the only trophy that I think that is really hindering the platinum is the leveling up one. Because you got to get to like 100 on level to get that final level up trophy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it's doable. It's very... I mean, it's probably easier than Red Dead. But, I mean, Red Dead was pain due to the online trophies. But the amount of time that I spent like, collecting everything and finding everything, I had fun. I had more fun collecting stuff in Red Dead, though. Like, shooting all the animals and stuff like that. But,
yeah, well, Red Dead is just one of those games that just will do that.
It's also horribly dated.
Red Dead?
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, it's not dated in a bad way. It's just dated that in the sense like every time I want to start a new campaign, I have to do all the tutorial missions and at the beginning, and it's like this. I don't want to do it again.
And Grand Theft Auto 4 is the same way. Grand Theft Auto 4 has been dated terribly. Have you tried to play that recently?
No, I don't have it no more. But I know what you mean. I've been watching. I don't know if you ever watched any of the Inside Gaming GTA 4 mod videos. I mean, they're pretty funny, but I'm like, I have no desire to go back to playing GTA 4 after playing GTA 5.
Yeah, There really would be no other reason to play it.
I mean, maybe out of like nostalgia, like probably 10 years from now, maybe, but not like after knowing that GTA 5 is like the staple of the Grand Theft Auto universe right now.
That to me actually brings up a really interesting thing when you say nostalgia, because when you say nostalgia or whatnot, I have I kind of disagree with you that would be really nostalgic, because the games that are nostalgic to us, like Super Mario Brothers, or like the old Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat would be more of us than Super Mario Brothers.
Well, I'm talking about Super Mario World or things like that. You know what I mean? Like the sequels that it spawned.
Oh, like three and
yeah,
Galaxy and stuff like that.
And then we have like Crash Bandicoot. Like that's nostalgia for us.
Yeah.
My thing is like those games were at the pinnacle of what their platforms achieved.
Gotcha.
And they were crisp, and they're like even today, by today's standards, they still play pretty damn well.
I played Crash like last year, and it was like, man, this game is still fun.
Yeah, my thing is like, okay, that game plays pretty damn well. But a game like Grand Theft Auto 4, when you know that it's been done better already, you're not gonna you might play it for nostalgia purposes, it's really the story, but I'm not gonna play it because the controls are clunky.
Okay, I see what you mean. I'd say, okay, I just picked the wrong Grand Theft Auto game, but I'd say the biggest nostalgia one out of the universe will be Vice City.
Probably, or San Andreas.
Yeah, it's a tie between those two with me, because I played Vice City all night, all day, and then I never really did play. I mean, I did play San Andreas before 5 came out, and I'm like, but the thing is, I didn't have my Jess is the one that had San Andreas, and I didn't, and it was like, and I was like, oh, so I didn't really play that one when it was out, but I did play Vice City when it first came out, and I was like, that was the game for me on the PS2.
Yeah, I mean, and the other cool thing is like, okay, games that are semi-nostalgic to us from the PlayStation 2 era are being redone in HD format, which I'm a huge fan of. Like,
oh, speaking of that, yeah, I bought one just the other day. I mean, like last year, it was Oddworld's Stranger's Wrath.
Yeah.
You have no. When I first played it on PS2, that was like, I loved that game to no end, from all the different kinds of ammo and
was that on Xbox?
Yeah, because I actually had an Xbox.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't. That was before this whole Sony. I mean, they actually coexisted. You know what I mean? And semi coexistent. But that's before I really started to pick a side, and because I really liked Xbox because it had Stranger's Wrath, and I enjoyed my Xbox. I will say that I enjoyed my Xbox, the original Xbox, and that's probably my favorite HD release is Stranger's Wrath. Just due to the fact that I remember where I played it and beat it and had fun. Same with Battlefield. Yeah. I wish they would do not Battlefield, but Battlefront, an HD release for that.
Oh, I'm surprised they haven't. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they did that for the new Star Wars coming out. Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're gonna do that cash cow. At least Disney is. Yeah. Disney is all about making that fucking money, and they know what they're doing.
They get earn that $1 billion movie money
back. They'll do that with the first episode 7.
Yeah, I know.
They will earn everything they paid for back in that, and then some in episode 7. It doesn't even matter how shitty it is. Like, if it's like a Foley show is like the starting of Star Wars, and it's a picture of a turd for the next 3 hours, they will make their fucking money back. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I will buy it. I'm buying a ticket to
it. I'm gonna buy the extended version, 80 more minutes of
steaming turd, and at the end, it kind of dissolves. You know,
I mean, like, it could be revealed that Jar Jar is the Dark Lord of the Sith at the end of the movie.
that movie will still do well. It doesn't matter what critics think about Star Wars because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to re-release everything in Blu-ray with promising you 30 minutes of extra footage that shows Han Solo, cutting his fingernails, and everyone's going to buy that, and like there's some money there, and then of course you're going to have all this other Star Wars merch that's going to be released, and all the upcoming games that are going to be released, and then just any inclusion of Star Wars in anything it's going to boost sales. Disney was extremely smart at buying the damn thing.
Okay.
I mean, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars now, something that I would never have foreseen happening. But
it
now
seems
there's
like the right move to do.
A chance that you might see Darth Vader and Wolverine in the same media.
Speaking of Wolverine, did you see that video I posted on the 210 Nerds Facebook page?
No, I did not. I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched it yet? Well, for people who are listening, I posted a fan film for Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness, and I thought it was pretty good. It's a little cheesy. The acting can be more to be desired, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. And it starts out with Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy kind of escaping with this mystery backpack, and they open it up to like this Pulp Fiction briefcase kind of scene, and then Wolverine kind of comes out of nowhere and just kills Peter Parker right off the bat, and then Ash comes out of nowhere to save Gwen Stacy, and they have this really cool fight sequence, and it was pretty well done. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. And
I'll have to check it out.
So have you been at what's the one going back to HD releases? Has there any been good reviews on the Kingdom Hearts end? I know that's like your top HD release game that you kind of want to play.
There has been. I've played it. I have played it.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I have played it. And like, I mean, I've read some of the reviews and everything for it, and I mean, it's pretty much what you expect. I mean, they redid a few things because the original info was actually lost, so they had to kind of like rebuild it again. Like the skeleton was there, but like the muscles and the veins and everything weren't there in the system.
They had to give it movement.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, I mean, the reviews have been pretty much what I expected it to be. Like, I mean, it's pretty much, if you're a standard video game fan, it's like an 8, but if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, it's like a 9 or a
10. Gotcha.
My thing is, it's like, it's a great way for, and these are the definitive versions, I might add. The version released in the HD is actually called Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, where it contains more boss battles and a sneak peek to the sequel or whatnot.
Gotcha. Okay,
so,
let's move on to more current information. Me and you are big Uncharted fans, and what did you think of the teaser trailer for it?
I think when the game comes out, that's when I buy a PlayStation 4. I mean, it's a system seller. I mean, I don't really know because there's so much speculation about it. I thought it was, it's like, okay, this is what Uncharted does. It releases a nice little teaser, and then you have to sit there and you have to like, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean?
Yeah.
I haven't nitpicked it yet. I don't really care because I know at the end of the day, if Naughty Dog, if Uncharted is on next-gen console hardware, I want it.
So, what are you thinking about this? I tried to get you to do or kind of sit down and do a podcast before the systems come out, and so after all the like hoopla is both systems are finally out, and all the like the news of the breakdowns and disc tray problems for the Xbox and the HDMI problems with the PS4. It's pretty much just launch day problems, and that's so.
Well, in defense of both places, I mean, you're going to have that issue no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, they pale in comparison to the original Xbox 360's issue with the power cord that will set your house on fire.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. And Sony actually released their numbers, and they have the 1% fail rate, which has been confirmed, and that's a success. Because you're going to hear about the consoles that, oh, my console doesn't work,
I thought
and that's kind of on both ends. I think it both kind of gets blown out of proportion. To me, both systems, obviously they're durable, and they're gonna have extended lives. I don't think these two consoles will actually live as long as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox 360 have.
Yeah, that's what I read that as well, and that kind of discourages me from buying one. Really.
Yeah. But if you think about it, I mean, the PS3, it still has life to it.
Oh.
Has been going since 2006. We're in 2013. It's a 7-year console cycle, and it's going on its 8th year here soon.
Yeah.
And the Xbox is going is 8th year now, and the Xbox to me has aged drastically. But the PlayStation 3 still has that, oh wow, hey, this is still gonna be good.
Yeah, that Xbox. I will admit the Xbox 360 didn't age well.
No, it really didn't, because I mean, when you have to sit there and you have to, Call of Duty Ghost is on 2 discs for the Xbox 360.
And like Grand Theft Auto is 2 discs as well.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things that's like, man, really, and like. It's just like, man, to me the 360 did not age well. I mean, I'm looking at one right now.
What is
it? And I mean, a 360.
Oh yeah.
And it's, I mean, it's fun to play on and everything like that, but it just, I don't like. There's just certain aspects of this damn thing I don't like.
That's why we have a PS3.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think what else. We've been out of contact, like Skype and podcasting wise, for quite a while. Is there like anything that of note that has happened in the last few months that kind of stuck with you?
Aside from me being a dad.
Oh well, a fellow Cooper's a baby Cooper's on the way. So
yeah. I can't really think. I mean,
I know.
I did.
I know.
I did what?
I know. What? Batman versus Superman. I forgot about that.
Okay, we haven't really talked about that one, and
no.
That's yeah, and that's something that that's going to have to be its probably own podcast when the time's right.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it, though.
Just initial reactions. How about that for right now?
Initial reaction to the whole thing being announced. I wasn't surprised that it was announced like that. I really wasn't, because I was like, because that's not shocking to me. The shocking part of it was everybody else's reaction to Ben Affleck being casted as Batman.
Yeah, to me, it seems kind of obvious to me. I mean, if you looked at his, I've always been a fan of Ben Affleck.
Like, everyone judges Ben Affleck for his earlier roles in movies. They're not going to judge him on his later roles. Like, if you've seen Argo, if you've seen The Town, you'd be like, you know what? Like, this fucker will be good.
Or or even like Chasing Amy and.
Yeah, I mean, like there is films that he is fantastic in, and you can't just judge him off Geely.
Yeah, or even like
Daredevil.
I like Daredevil.
Daredevil, but hear me out. I will say this: Daredevil wasn't his fault. I don't think Daredevil is a terrible movie per se, but there's a few instances in there where I think it just was terrible. I think Michael Clark Duncan was awful. I thought Colin Farrell was awful.
Okay. I really don't mean to pick on directors, because it's hard enough job to do, or get into, but I do have to say the director of Daredevil, Mark Steven Johnson, he has a couple Marvel movies underneath his belt, and you've seen Daredevil, right?
Yeah, I've seen Daredevil.
Okay. And I don't know if you've seen the other one. Have you seen Ghost Rider?
Yeah, I've seen Ghost Rider.
Okay. And how'd you like Ghost Rider?
I didn't.
You didn't like Ghost Rider?
No.
The weird thing about the Ghost Rider movie, have you seen the second one?
No, because it was rated PG-13.
No, don't not even worry about that. That is far from the least of your worries about that movie, because I would pick Mark Steven Johnson to direct hundreds of Marvel movies over what happened with Spirit of Vengeance. I hate that movie. Me and my mom was watching it, and it was like we we wanted we were almost to the point of turning it. I mean, it was just terrible. The only funny moment in that movie, or even remotely good moment, is like one of the villains can like suck the life out of people or by touching him or whatever. I don't even care. And he unwrapped a Twinkie and held it, and nothing happened. And it was like, oh, that was actually pretty funny. But overall, it wasn't a great superhero movie. It was like, Silver Surfer looked Academy Award worthy compared to this movie, and it's like,
wow.
And it was directed by the people who made Crank and Gamer, and I'm like, like Neville Dean and Taylor, and I'm like, oh, that looks so awesome, and the trailers made it look even awesomer, and like, then when I finally watched it, it was just like,
I don't like Crank. I don't like the Crank movies or Gamer.
I like the movies because they're more escape movies more than, I mean, I'll just watch something blow up or somebody having to recharge his heart. I mean, those are just escape movies for me. I don't really put too much thought into them, but they're fun to watch.
No, but one thing I think you were going to allude to, and it's the one thing I noticed in whoever that director's name is or whatever.
Yeah.
He has a habit of reshooting the same stuff with different people. Like a lot of the scenes, like, and to me, it's just that one scene at the end of Daredevil where he's jumping off the building or whatnot, and he's using his little weapon, and it's coming at you.
His cane or whatever.
Yeah, it's the same fucking scene as Ghost Rider.
When he's jumping off the building with his chain and bicycle, or motorcycle.
Yeah, motorcycle. Yeah, and it's like it's the same damn thing. It's like he likes to reuse a lot of scenes because he believes they're epic or whatnot. And I mean, back to Daredevil, there were some parts of the movie where I thought that was pretty well done. I mean, I thought the interaction between Matt Murdock and Joe Pantoliano's character was pretty damn cool.
And, but the thing is, I'm not. I mean, Mark Steven Johnson. I mean, he has. I've just recently watched a new movie of his called The Killing Season with John Travolta and what's his name, Robert De Niro, and I'm like, how? I mean, that movie. I really liked The Killing Season. I don't care. That movie was kind of. I've been reading online and people just downright hated that movie. I mean, given that John Travolta's Serbian accent was at times kind of annoying, but overall I like the whole aspect of kind of like your past coming to get you kind of thing, and so John Travolta plays this Serbian warrior who was pretty much executed but didn't die, and he comes back to take revenge on his killer, which was Robert De Niro. He was a soldier in the Serbian War, and he was tracking down these people, death squad, and they found him and they executed him. But he didn't die, and he paid money to find who was in that little platoon or whatever you call it. And they have this really, and that's where the movie really kicks up, is when these two start feuding against each other out in the woods. And there's some pretty moments in that movie where like it was pretty squeamish, and it was like, oh dear God, and I'm like, I don't see how that director of this movie directed those two superhero movies. I'm like, that would have been so much better if he would have went more that route instead of the route he took with Ghost Rider.
Sounds like you should have done Punisher.
Actually, you know what? If he would have done at least the new Punisher, I think it would have been okay if he'd done it in that realistic kind of tone.
Ralph.
Yeah. I mean, I know the Thomas Jane one was more realistic than the.
I love the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Yeah, me too.
Like, that movie, once again, it's critically panned. I don't give a shit. I'll watch that movie from start to finish. I thought, and hey, it's got John Travolta in it. I thought that movie was just fantastic.
I never put that together. And what else? All right, let's move from superheroes for a little bit. How about, what do you think?
That's fine. Yeah, actually, I wanted to tell you about a movie I seen about a week or two ago.
Okay, go ahead.
Classic movie, but this is an important one because it's the first movie I have watched all the way through that has Al Pacino in it.
Uh-oh.
I've never seen a whole entire Al Pacino movie before. Yeah. I've never seen Scarface. I've never seen anything else that he was in.
Like Heat or...
yeah, I've never seen Heat. I've never seen...
Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon. I've never seen anything with Al Pacino in it. And none of those movies were it either. You would think it would be one of those action, over-the-top movies.
Please tell me it's not Jack and Jill.
It's not Jack and Jill either. It is a movie that was, I believe, done in the early 90s, early 80s, called Scent of a Woman.
Explain to me how this came about.
Okay, I'm sitting there and Robin she turns on a movie or whatnot, and of course the game I like to play is who the hell is this guy? Like, I know who he is. And I'm like, is that Al Pacino? Is she watching something with Al Pacino? And I've never actually sat down and watched a Pacino movie because everybody knows how he is. He's like, hey, he just all he does is yell, and to his nature, he did yell a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
But I thought the performance that he gave was awesome, and like at first I was like, man, I'm gonna go take it down for something, and hopefully it lasts the entirety of this movie. But then the interaction between him and Chris O'Donnell, I was like, and yes, I said Chris O'Donnell, was kind of like, this is a really interesting story.
See, that proves that bad movies can happen to good actors. You know what I mean? Like Chris O'Donnell with Batman and Robin, and
yeah, and Chris O'Donnell was a damn good actor in that movie. Like, I was like, the scene where he's like, you've seen Son of a Woman, I take it.
Most of it. I mean, that's just one of the movies that don't particularly attract my kind of movie watching ability.
It didn't really attract my movie watching ability. It's kind of like, you know what? I've watched 10 minutes of it. Let's just see where the rest of this damn thing goes. And I hadn't watched a movie in about a few weeks or whatnot. And the entire Pacino gives what I think is one of the most beautiful roles. Like, I just just thought it was really captivating. There was a few instances in the movie I didn't really care too much for. I do like the fact that there wasn't a central love story to this movie.
Yeah.
No, the title would make you think there would be. And there is a scene where Al Pacino is trying to get Chris O'Donnell to dance with this really attractive female at a restaurant, and he tangos with her. And you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a central female to the plot. No, you don't see her again. So I'm like this movie is really just highlighting how well-rounded Pacino is as an actor. And it's really trying to kickstart Chris O'Donnell as an actor. Like, to me, that's what I see. And they really, the two of them, it was really sad because I would really like to see more of those two, have interacted with each other in other movies.
Have you seen Dick Tracy?
No.
You ever seen Dick Tracy? Okay, I'm like, because he was in that movie. Like, no, I didn't know. Sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
Yeah, but no, like my whole thing is like, I at the end of that movie and the Sin of Woman, I was like, that was a really good movie. Like, and for me to recommend a movie like that, I have to think it was really good.
Okay. Since we're recommending movies to each other. I watched a movie last night that I've been kind of wanting to see for a very long time since I've seen the trailer for it. It's called Scenic Route.
Yeah.
It has Josh Duhamel in it. You know who that is, don't you?
Yeah.
Fergie's husband. and who else? Oh, and Transformer movies. And then it has Dan Fogler in it. You know who that is?
Isn't that Eastbound and Down?
No, that's Danny McBride.
Oh, I'm dumb.
Um, have you seen Fanboys?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the big guy who drives the truck. He's the Han Solo of the group.
Okay. All right. Okay.
He's the curly hair and he has a beard and
You can obviously see why I would think that'd be Danny McBride.
yeah. And well, he was in it, and so these two guys are on the way home, and he picked them up, and they take this long stretch of highway in the middle of nowhere, and his friend decides to fall asleep on him, so he sabotages his vehicle to kind of break down, so it forces them to kind of have a heart-to-heart conversation, and well, turns out that him disabling it kind of caused even more problems, and even though he did it in a way where it was easily fixable, and so these two just basically have it out towards each other, and it's two best friends are just kind of having it out, like conversation wise, and they kind of get into it and physically, and it was just pretty well done. I mean, I was seeing some of the reviews on, or more discussions because this movie has an ending that makes you think. It kind of has a Inception kind of ending. You know how Inception ended, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know where he spoiler alert.
Big one.
If you've never seen Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio spins his little whatever. What's it called? What's those things called?
It's his, oh man,
his totem or whatever.
It's totem. It's totem.
Yeah, and
in a dream, and for those who don't know, in a dream, it will just keep spinning.
Yeah, infinite spin, and if it's not, it'll top over.
Teeter.
And the movie cuts off before it because it kind of has that moment where you might have seen it kind of
teeter,
yeah,
but might not have.
Yeah, then it just ends, and it kind of has that kind of Inception moment, and I'm going ahead and spoil it because I know how you are with movies sometimes. But anyways, this is a big spoiler. There's a point in the movie where these two, you know how the desert gets super cold at night.
Yeah.
Okay, and so in order to do so, they dig themselves a hole, and they put themselves in it and cover them up with dirt and keep warm. So then the next day, they decide we need to trek out. They need to get out of here, and so they start moving on, and then everything just starts falling into place. Like they find telephone wires, which leads them to this little town, which allows them to get cell phone signal, and they're rescued, and they go home, and everything falls into place. He quits his job, his relationship with his wife kind of re-blossoms, or whatever you want to call it, and starts back up. Then even his best friend who's homeless, he lives in his vehicle that got towed during the movie, and he's a writer, and when he starts writing his book, and everything is just going so well, and then one night while on vacation with his wife, he wakes up, and he's in the hotel room, and he's kind of having this mini panic attack, and so he goes to the bathroom, calls his friend, and then he's like, I'm starting to get this feeling like we never made it out of the desert. And then you start hearing kind of the wind kind of flow, you know how the kind of blowing in the wind, or the sound of the wind makes.
Yeah.
And then it kind of flashes to these two just laying in the hole, and you're not quite sure if they're dead or not. And then mid conversation, the phone goes dead, and when he picks up his phone again, it's cracked, and it's like, did they really die in the out in the desert, or you know how it's like their heaven, everything is just falling into place, and I was actually surprised at the ending of this movie. I thought they were just gonna get rescued, and they just kind of never speak to each other, or they have this epiphany, and that they kind of like, oh, we need to do this and this and this, but I was not expecting this ending at all, and it was just like, oh.
Does that make it good, or?
Actually, yes, it did. I mean, because there was really no natural conclusion to this movie. I mean, it kind of felt. That's why I said it had that Inception like esque ending to it. It's like, are they dead in the hole, or and what they're doing outside of it? This whole ending is just like they're heaven, and or they're like just they just didn't make it out of the desert because of one mistake. And I thought it was really good. I mean, I know I'm not doing it justice, but you knowing that, you kind of have to watch it and kind of like, oh, it's pretty good.
What's really funny is it kind of does what its title name suggests. From what you're saying to me, it goes the scenic route.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There are some moments where it's like there's a few moments in the movie where like, you dummy, or like how could you do that? But overall, it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. It's only like an hour and it's like 86 minutes or something like that. But it was really good, and they take all the subject matter very serious. I mean,
right.
like this one guy, he doesn't find his wife attractive anymore, but you know how some movies can like make that into a joke, but you kind of like, it's well acted and well written, and it kind of shows a different side of their acting ability, because I've always known Josh Duhamel from the Transformer movies. That's really all I seen him in, and I'm like, oh wow, this guy can actually kind of act a little bit. And then Dan Fogler, I've always seen him in comedy movies like Balls of Fury and Fanboys, and and Take Me Home Tonight. I mean, like, it was good to see him in a more dramatic role, even though I have seen him act, because there's a video on YouTube that you should check out if you know who Sam Kinison is, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know how he can scream, he's like,
yeah, he does that scream thing that he does with comedy act.
Yeah, that primal scream of his, and he does it perfect. I mean, he does like this like intercut of his like HBO special or something like that, and like he's reenacting it, and it's probably one of the best reenacted moments I've seen in a long, long time. And when I found out they weren't casting him in their brother Sam movie, I'm like, that's kind of disheartening, knowing that he did this role so well and they're not even going to give it to him, and they've cast somebody else in it.
They cast,
You've seen The Rocker, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you know the dude who plays the drums, not the drums, but the keyboard.
Really?
Yeah, that's who it is. Or yeah, that's who plays him. The keyboard, the keyboardist in that movie.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Any final? We got about a couple more minutes left of the podcast. Is there anything that you can't wait for? A future movie, game? Oh, you want to do your Black Friday shopping thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, as everybody knows, Black Friday is no longer Black Friday. It's Brown Thursday.
Why is it Brown Thursday?
Yeah.
Why is it Brown Thursday?
Why is it Brown Thursday?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's no longer Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because everyone works on it now. And I mean, it's like to the point. It's like they're pushing Black Friday. Like, it's like most of the sales aren't even on Black Friday anymore. They are on Thanksgiving. Walmart is open at 6 in the evening. Kmart is open at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, I know. I saw that on the news.
Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, but I was like, I think last year or the year before that, I was like, what, it's not so bad. People want to go shop. It's the people that do that, and there are some people that would prefer to work on Thanksgiving. But when you start doing, like, I never thought they would do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, that to me is like are you serious? Like, I thought we were a few years away from that, but, apparently not.
I think
Leave it to Kmart.
This year is definitely worse than last year. 110% worse.
It is, because they're doing it at 6 o'clock now at some places. Toys R Us is doing 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And, I mean, it gets to the point now where, I mean, it's like, so do you celebrate Thanksgiving with your family, or do you go out and brave this? And the people that want to celebrate with their family, they're already going to celebrate with their family. They don't really care about Black Friday.
Yeah.
But the people that really want to save a buck or two, and there are some great deals, on certain things or whatnot. I mean...
You know what? I didn't even know they made a 12 gigabyte PlayStation.
That is, to me, it sounds like the biggest fucking ripoff in the history of ripoff.
Because I was watching Inside...
What can you do with 12 gigs? You can't even save DC Universe Online to that damn thing.
Grand Theft Auto was 8 gigs or something like that. I mean, like, there's one game right there.
Yeah, I mean, well, you obviously, like, I have a terabyte hard drive, so it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, you can just, like, for, like, $50 more, you can get a 250 gig.
Yeah, I can't believe, and they're releasing, get this, I mean, a 4 gigabyte Xbox 360.
They have, that's already out. That's with the Kinect and everything.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, that's $100 even. I mean...
Yeah, and that's not bad. I mean, if you're just looking for an Xbox, you can get a 4 gig right there, and then you could save your data to like a memory stick. That's really not so bad. I mean, it's same thing with the PlayStation, but for $100, you want yourself a gaming console, pick up an Xbox, 360 or whatnot, 4 gig. I mean, it's not. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's like, but they do have the ability to read, like, you can save it to an external drive. So, and it doesn't have to be Xbox technically or Microsoft thing. It can be, like a little bitty USB stick. So
are you gonna be getting your PlayStation back soon? I know we kind of had this.
I am taking my PlayStation that is currently under the yellow light of death influence, and I am taking that and I'm getting it fixed.
Okay.
And I will have my PlayStation back possibly in mid-December, based upon when they can fix it. If they can fix it, they do a free diagnostic down here, and then it's $85 to fix it.
I don't know.
Yeah, which to me it should be lower than that because the system is lower in price, but it's whatever. But
price to pay for entertainment, I guess.
Yeah. So, and the first game I'm going to be playing is Kingdom Hearts HD.
Okay.
So
well, you gotta get a game so that you and Lance can finally get back into playing again.
Well, that'll be Black Ops 2. I mean, that's
or
obvious.
We might as well just get Battlefield 4.
I don't know. We could, and we could, like, totally go for that shit. We're not getting Ghost, I can assure you that. Like, that's off the table.
I
like,
know. Yeah, I've seen your review for it.
Here's the thing. Like, I only play it now because it's the only Call of Duty I can play. And like even that is like it's been sitting there all damn day, and I've been like, you know what, I get a fart. Like,
rather poop your pants than play the game.
Yeah, I would rather. You know what, I'm gonna go do something like not productive, and I'm like gonna stare at the wall for like a good hour and a half. Because to me that sounds more enticing than listening to. And you think the PlayStation community is bad? The Xbox community is terrible. It is full of nothing but, like I was saying, it's like, how we have our great chats on PlayStation Network?
It seems like, we seem like we have better conversations through gaming while we're playing games than just sitting here.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have some great conversations.
That's how we came up with Toby Keith and the Noob Handbook, and
yeah, I mean, we came up with so many great, memorable moments, and then I try to duplicate the same thing on Xbox, and all I get is the you gotta be quiet. They're across the map. We gotta flank them. And it's just like, are you guys like serious? Like, really?
So you
I did manage to find like a few people that I've known for quite some time playing on Xbox, and we kind of laughed at it. But like, there's so many serious people on there.
I found your online name quite hilarious, though. Even though
Lil Boonig.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
I thought of it. That's the name I gave her.
oh,
Yeah.
So
And I'm not paying for my own fucking Xbox name. It's fucking stupid.
Oh man. Oh well, we are at our ending point in the Two Ton Nerds podcast, which we talked about a lot in this, I do believe, and
Oh, hey, Brian Griffin's dead, by the way.
I don't. Speaking of that, how'd you like? Does that affect you at all?
I honestly thought they were gonna kill Chris.
Oh, Chris. Most people wanted Meg.
Well, you can't really kill Meg because you need Meg. But I thought they were gonna kill Chris just because I thought Seth Green was done with the show. But I didn't think they were gonna kill Brian. I'm like, what? It doesn't shock me because Family Guy doesn't mean as much as it used to about 2 or 3 years ago. But it does kind of like, man, they actually killed off the main character.
Oh, okay. Speaking of cartoon shows, have you been watching South Park as of lately?
No, I have not.
Okay, you know how you're a big Game of Thrones fan, right?
Oh, very, very much so.
Okay.
But don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna spoil or anything, but I'm just saying, like, you need to catch up on South Park because they have like this trilogy going on of they're doing PS3 versus Xbox in the style of Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's funny.
And it is the funniest thing I've seen in South Park has been either give and take these last few seasons, but but when they start doing stuff like this is when South Park really is some of the best written television on.
Yeah, maybe now they can release that game they've been promising for like 3 years.
I know, the Stick of Truth. I mean,
yeah, it keeps getting delayed, which that is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad.
I have high hopes for it. I really do.
I do too. Obsidian is the one directing it, and they are the ones that did Fallout, New Vegas, and the Fallout 1 and 2. Pretty much the same people that did that. And I have high faith in them because New Vegas I preferred over the other one because they had great humor. And, Matt and Trey Parker okayed it. So,
I'm looking forward to it. And you really definitely need to catch up on those just few episodes because if you've seen Game of Thrones, and you will love it. I'm downright laughing as hard as I can at some of these references they make, and it's all there. And Kenny's playing Khaleesi, and Cartman, he's playing pretty much I think he's playing like the King Joffrey kind of role, and Stan, he's on. It's just, you just gotta watch it. It's probably one of the. This is South Park at their best. It really is.
I'll probably have to check it out.
Okay, well, we have run our course for this episode. My name is Max James.
And my name is Scott Cooper.
Are you really confused by your name?
Sometimes it does confuse me. Like,
you seem like you didn't know your name.
Because, should the S be silent? Because one of the T's at the end of Scott is silent.
Scott.
I don't know if you guys realize that.
It seems so.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that keeps me up at night.
It's definitely.
Okay, well, and that's our episode for this week, and we're going to go geek out.